Hello, my name is Ezra Dian, and welcome to day 3 of our week of the Daily Dose of Torah. We are going through the laws of Tzedakah as per Rabbi Eliezer Melamed Sefer Penine Halacha. As we mentioned yesterday, the old sort of method of distributing tzedakah was to have these people appointed by the community to distribute the tzedakah, known as Gaba'ei Tzedakah. The question that comes up in another section of Rabbi Melamed's laws of halacha is it better to actually have people that are appointed over the distribution of tzedakah, or is it better for each individual to give tzedakah on their own as they see fit? And Rabbi Melamed says it's quite clear that it's definitely better to have people who are appointed over the tzedakah money, and over the distribution of the money. Obviously, you want people who are going to be good at it. Why? He says because there are a number of things that you have to worry about if each individual is going to be giving tzedakah. He says, number one, someone who doesn't know how to properly deal with people who are struggling financially may actually make things worse for them. As we mentioned during day 1, it's preferable to help someone get back on their feet rather than to just supply them with their needs. And he says, who knows, one example of a way in which a Gabbai Tzedakah may be better equipped to deal with someone struggling financially is that person may be able to help them out in a way that's not necessarily just physically providing them with money, but rather, again, maybe helping them be able to earn money in a more permanent way. And he says if an individual is not trained well in that area, that may be something that is more likely to happen, where the tzedakah will not go to the best possible cause in that regard. He says, for example, there is also a prohibition that one should not give tzedakah to someone who is not an appropriate type of poor person. His example is if there is someone who is addicted to different substances and someone is fueling that addiction by simply giving more and more money to this person who may actually be poor due to their addiction, that is considered inappropriate in terms of the mitzvah of tzedakah. Obviously, one should help such people in whatever ways that they may need. And it's certainly a big mitzvah, but to provide them with money over and over again to fuel their addiction is not something that we think is a good idea for the mitzvah of tzedakah. He says, however, if you have someone who's a gabbai tzedakah, they will be people that are in charge of distributing these funds, and they will be able to invest the proper time and energy in finding out which aniyim, which poor people they should be giving the money to, and in helping them out in the best ways possible. He gives some other discussion here, but I think that's one point, 2 points that he makes as to the importance of using a gabbai as opposed to having each individual just simply give out money on their own. He has another question here, and as we said, many of his halachot come in question and answer form in this section. And the question that was posed to him, and I'll note here, as with really any of the halachot that you hear, this is simply the presentation and the opinion of Rabbi Melamed. There are always, in various areas of halacha, people that disagree, and therefore, if you have any practical questions about this, especially those that are dealing with large sums of money or other big decisions, one should definitely consult their own rabbi. That being said, Rabbi Melamed asks the following question. He says, how much tzedakah is it appropriate to give to someone who comes and knocks on the door and asks you for charity? And he quotes from the Talmud, based on the Talmud of Baba Batra, that one should not give such a large amount of money to a poor person who comes around from door to door. And he says, on the other hand, it's also clear from the Talmud that it's inappropriate to give them nothing. That's, as we mentioned in earlier days, there's a prohibition to turn away from a poor person who needs your help. So he says the appropriate way to go, based on the Talmud, is to give a small gift. His idea of a small gift, he says, would be in Israel, half a shekel, which, again, it's hard to know how that would translate to places like Toronto, Canada, or the United States. However, the point is it would be something along the lines of 25 cents. He says, technically speaking, there are those who say that one can even give the equivalent of a pruta, which people, cash that out at a few cents. And he says in Israel, technically 10 agorot, which is the smallest coin they have now, would actually work in order to fulfill the mitzvah of tzedakah on the one hand, but also note that in accordance with the Talmud, one should not give so much to people who are coming around from door to door.